Hello and welcome to another edition of the Door 14 Hockey Podcast. I'm your host Marty alongside Dave
Hello.
and Aaron.
Hello there.
Hello, the three of us again. No John again this week.
Must be so much paint in that house.
So much paint. So much paint. I mean,
The 15 bedrooms. Yeah.
Every square foot of that house must be painted by now. I mean,
how much tail paint do you think he's got?
Do you think there's any tail paint at all in that house? Or
Has to be.
Because now he's a five fire. He's more five flyers.
Even I've got teal.
You do have teal, actually. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting like tartan wallpaper.
Really, just that's all the boxers that he's wears. It's just boxers all the time.
To be fair, I don't think I've ever really thought about John's underwear. To be fair,
you lived with him for many a year. I'm sure you've seen John in his tartan boxers.
I can actually say no, thankfully not. That was not a sight that I had to witness at all at any point. But yes, maybe he can verify that at some point, whether or not it's tartan only. Who knows? We got so sidetracked already. Boys, how's it going? I know it's only been a week because we had done our last podcast this time last week. So very quick, back on the track again to get the next podcast out. But we thought, end of the season, playoffs just happened. We're just fresh out of the playoff weekend. And we thought, let's round off this month, this season, shall we say, now, let's get it while it's fresh, because this will be the last podcast we will be doing probably about a month or two anyway. After tonight's podcast, we will be taking a short break until the 2026-2027 season starts, with the odd smattering of off-season specials, in inverted commas, if you will, throughout the summer months.
Yeah, you've been practicing your Xbox or your PlayStation skills?
I mean, I wouldn't call them skills, to be fair.
Your Xbox smashing?
My PlayStation, yes. I decided to break out, dust off the EIHL games again for the first time in a very long time, and I'm very rusty. Yes, I have been there, and I've been trying to play around with some of the ideas of maybe doing some streaming with it over the summer months.
Did I just let the cat out of the bag? Sorry, by asking you about your skills.
Not at all. It's been something I've been toying with and playing with, and I've been trying to work out the complexities of streaming, because I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm 40 years of age and I don't know how to stream. So I
40 years
think I've worked
age,
like
you don't look any older than 35. It's all good.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. Thank you. Thanks. I wish this was actually my date of birth. I wish this is my date of birth here, 93. At least it would be a bit younger. But yes, I'm gonna potentially with summer months stream, but we'll talk about the summer months at the end of the podcast, and kind of clarify what our plan is over the off season, just so there's still a bit of Door 14 hockey in your life. Boys, before we get to period one, and taking a look at this past weekend, Dave, let's go to you first. How's things with you this last week?
Good. At the process of sorting this house that's going to become a building site, as of not next week, but the week after, the 4th of May. The roof is coming off, and I'm going to build another floor, so it's going to be
off.
Yeah, so I have to get all the Lego out. That was warned that's the main thing, because it'll get clogged up with dust from the track in the walls for the electrics. So I have to get all that out. Had to get all the kids plushies out, anything that would absorb dust.
Kids plushies, sure.
Yeah. Jerseys are obviously in the garage, so we don't need to worry about those. So it's all go. We're going to be not struggling, but trying to live in a building site for at least 8 weeks, maybe slightly more.
It's very considerate of you to do this during the off season, by the way. Unlike John, who decided to do this to build a house during the season of a podcast.
Yeah. Does he not know he's got to do? And it has to be done as well before September, 100% to do with the season coming along, nothing to do with the fact that kids go back to school.
And I mean, he doesn't know how hard it's going. He doesn't know how hard it is to, renovation wise. You have to live there, because he's had it easy.
Marty, what are we going to do? Like, we've had these two guys like building new houses, putting massive extensions on. I think I'm going to cut my grass.
I might think about maybe power hose in the backyard at some point, maybe
rather than doing the power hosing game.
Yep, probably. Nothing exciting in my life when it comes to building work for my house, anyway. And Aaron, how are you doing?
All good here. Nothing crazy. I know we're going to talk about the playoffs, but unfortunately, I completely missed the final because the wee dog got sick on the Sunday. She's all healthy, she's fine, but she did give us a mighty scare on the Sunday, which meant I missed the final. Okay, we didn't have any skin in the game, but the one thing that I'm most annoyed about missing the final is that Dave was going to come around with his wings. As in chicken wings. And I missed out on Dave's chicken wings, which was the worst thing about the Sunday and missing the final.
Well, hopefully, maybe we'll make up for it next year's playoff final, and we'll get some proper chicken wings in a chicken wing. Not proper. I don't mean to say yours aren't proper, Dave. But some chicken wings from a certain
authentic
shop. Authentic, shall we say? Yes. Boys, I think that's it. I think let's get stuck into period one and get talking about this past weekend of hockey, if it's okay with you.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Okay, period one is a roundup of the news stories from around the UK. Primarily, this podcast will be focusing on the Elite League, closing off this season of the Elite League, the 2025-2026 season. I know we talked about the league itself last podcast last week. We rounded off the league itself and how it all played out to finish. We still just need to tie up a few loose ends in relation to playoffs. A story that we completely missed off last week's podcast, which is worth having a quick chat about. And we'll look ahead at some of the already announcements that have happened already since playoffs finished, in terms of player movements and a few other rumors, shall we say, that have been doing the rounds this last weekend from playoffs. So we always like to kind of do that, and we'll kind of get into a bit of that before we move on. So boys, let's start off with the first part of the main story, shall we say, for period one, and that's finishing off the league season as it is. And this past weekend was the playoff finals weekend in Nottingham, as always. And the final came. Well, we all had our hopes, shall we say, that the final was going to be an all-purple final, 2 different shades of purple. We were hoping for a Manchester-Glasgow Clan final. Unfortunately, we didn't get our wish, and it felt a bit like the inevitable, the same old. But our final on the Sunday afternoon came down to the Sheffield Steelers versus the Cardiff Devils. I'm gonna we'll just throw this up. We'll just take the pain now and we'll throw this up. The Cardiff Devils were the eventual winners for the playoff final weekend, defeating the Sheffield Steelers 5-2, claiming the first title since the 2021-2022 season. I should say the first playoff final, our title since 2021-2022 season. Sheffield pushed hard to try and find an equaliser through the opening period, but just wasn't enough. The Cardiff Devils were just relentless, really pushed and held on firm to completely just dominate, I'd say, this game. Dave, come to you first. I think dominate is the only way you can describe how this ended up being.
Best way to describe it is, I think I mentioned at the start of the season, that one thing you're going to get from Tomo and his teams is this sort of rolling offense that doesn't stop, puts a lot of shots on goal, and that's what we got in the playoff final. Solid net minding and just this relentless cycle of shots. Solid defensively, but every chance they could, they took a shot, whether it was the world's best placed or not. But yourself, the more shots on net, the higher possibility of you getting those goals. And it came to fruition. Not to say that the Sheffield didn't have their looks. They did. They were really good in the transition a few times, and they just needed a bit of luck. And unfortunately, Foxy just doesn't have it this year. He literally hasn't got any puck luck whatsoever with any of these big statement games. And he seems to grasp a bit. We've seen it with the yes, you have to pull your netminder, and yes, it's you need to try and make it work. But he did it a bit early, and any momentum that he had sort of fizzled very quickly.
Did he pull twice?
I actually, do you know what? I'm gonna apologize. I did say dominate when realistically they didn't. When you think about it, actually they were the game was 3-2 at the 53 minute point. So it is towards the end of the game, and it was only the fact that they pulled the goaltenders twice, and obviously Cardiff utilized that with the empty net and scoring those to kind of seal the game. So it is hard to say, but I mean, I didn't watch the full game. I'll be 100% honest. I watched parts of the game where I could, between making dinner and a bunch of other bits and pieces, and my point of view, and from where I watched, I felt that Cardiff just felt like Cardiff had the upper hand over the whole game.
I agree. Yeah, I watched the full game, and yeah, they did just have this constant. They were Sheffield for big parts of the game were playing 2 back, holding 2 right back, hoping to keep try and push the game into the later periods. Which they did. They obviously had a chance to. If they got that equalising goal, could have been a very different situation, but they didn't look as dangerous as Cardiff did, in my opinion. It was just, as I said, Foxy did what he did. He was trying to get a bit of luck, and it just went the other way. But that killed the momentum fairly early on in those final minutes of the third, and then he tried it again, and at that stage it was just too little, too late.
Yeah, if I think you're 100% right. Too little, too late is exactly the best way to. And so obviously Cardiff pulling off what they needed to kind of secure. Well, I suppose it was a good finish for them for this season. I suppose the question does come back to again the whole, and we're still no further along in our clarity around European standing or European competition for next year. We know that there's been no confirmation yet from the CHL in relation to where that last league will be. Will that be an elite league team? What we don't 100% know. And we know that potentially Continental Cup is a question mark as well. We don't know if that's something that's going to happen next year or not. Again, I suppose we kind of have to wait and see. Historically, it had always been first place team who wins the league takes the CHL spot, and the winners of the playoffs usually took the spot in the Continental Cup. But both competitions at the moment are up in the air what's happening. So I suppose it is a wait and see, and hopefully by the time it comes to our next podcast over the summer months in May time, we'll have a bit more clarity around how things are shaping up European hockey wise coming next season. Boys, obviously the two teams playing, we'll mention it anyway because it's they seem to think it was I think of it's their I think the third place game playoff finals weekend. Obviously, we know it's historically always been known as Chunder Cup or the Chunder game. But I don't know if anybody gave Glasgow and Manchester the memo that that's how this game was supposed to turn out, because it was actually a pretty interesting game from the looks of things in terms of just watching some of the highlights and reading some of the things that were going on. It was only a narrow 3-2 win over Manchester Storm for Glasgow to finish third in the playoff final weekend.
I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I was afraid that we were just kind of going to gloss over the third place. And I appreciate, yes, okay, Chunder Cup and all that kind of stuff. But Glasgow came third.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. And I suppose can't take it away. But again, it is one of those ones where I think a few people, I did see comments around people being like they're legitimately like playing this game. Just for some people, it's like, what, really? But I suppose pride was on the line maybe, and they just felt like, yeah, we want to finish third. And I know then I was reading a few things from Glasgow over since Monday. Glasgow put out a few tweets and a few things on X tweets. I don't know what you call it now. A few social media posts, and also a bit of an article on their website, just kind of thanking the fans for what they felt was a pretty good season this year. And I suppose for them, it turned out to be, a significantly good season. Dominated the most dominant team in Scotland. Beat the Giants in the semi-finals, which is a trophy in and of itself. And then, quarterfinals, and then to
make the playoffs.
Play a final weekend. So fair enough to them if it's
so you got to take the wins when they come. And
exactly.
And I appreciate, as I say, I'm glad that we brought it up because, yes, Chandler Cup and all that kind of stuff, and it's third place. But like they in the league, they were what, 8th? They were they just got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they came third. So do you know what? Hats off to them. Well done.
Yeah. And so that's kind of it really for playoff final weekend. Obviously the usual stuff from playoff final weekend came out, are coming out and reading fans enjoying their weekends, and the usual coverage from the Dundee Stars TV, doing interviews and stuff with all the fans outside the Motorport Arena. It was fun to watch over the weekend, and just little bits and pieces that were drip fed out. But I definitely was saying to a good friend of ours, Mark, I was like, we need to make our Dilford team needs to make their return to the playoff final weekend soon. So hopefully next season.
Is it going to be a quieter Door 14 weekend? Is it going to be like, dads on tour and with the Waynes?
Probably not.
Like, absolutely not.
No, it'll still be a weekend away, but it'll be more like it'll be like, oh, the game's over. It's now 7 o'clock. Is it time for bed? Yes, let's just go and have a cup of tea and get in bed and fall asleep.
With the kids there or without the kids there?
No kids.
Then no. You can go, Dave and I'll go for the bar. Go get some pitch with Mark.
There has been a few bits and pieces, though I have read a few disappointing things I've heard over the weekend, just around complaints about fan behaviour and stuff. But again, that's all stuff I've just read online and hearsay. The only thing I would say is I did read some comments about Nottingham flags and banners being defaced as part of the weekend. I think in Saltbox, maybe as part of the celebrations, the fans from the Cardiff Devils, maybe a few Question fans, maybe defaced some things by putting stickers and things on it, and I think it's caused a bit of shall we say, ill feeling, bad blood, and I suppose rightly so. One thing, you can stick your stickers on, lamps and like on poles and whatever you want to do, but when it comes to other people's merchandise or memorabilia or whatever it is, or flags, banners, just don't touch them. That's the way you would say it. But it's not quite.
The thing I'd seen a few times, and I was quite surprised, was the because Cardiff were doing the celebration in Saltbox. There was fans from other teams that were already in, and they made them leave. Which, going back to when we were there with the Giants when they won the cup, there was a bit of a mixture of fans. Most of the fans ended up outside anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't see any, preferential treatment. I know that whenever the Giants arrived, most of the fans from other teams decided to go.
Yeah.
But there was nobody going around pushing people out. But apparently that's what was happening. They were going around.
Oh, they were saying Cardiff only.
But it wasn't it was the players, I think, from the Cardiff team.
I don't know, Dave. I did read a few mixed things. I read some fans up in arms because obviously they've been in there for a good part of the evening, spending money, and they were like, we were asked to leave, and there's a whole big confusion around that players had asked them to leave. Or we want them to leave, and then there's a thing around the security that were on the doormen on the bar, kind of coming out and saying that they were by capacity and had to let people move out or whatever it is, so other people could come in. Or it's confusing, I suppose. Obviously it's hearsay and there's a lot of stuff we're reading online. But
one of the things I think that they should do is move away from that sort of official party thing. It's good and all that jazz, but it does end up, if you're going to do that, you need to book somewhere, for your fans, not just kick people
nice
in the
that
bar.
It's right there, because I can remember, like, last time we were there, Giants won. Marty, did you not spill beer over someone?
I did. I may have threw a pint when I was energetically talking to Tyler Biscarani outside Saltbox, and I kind of threw a whole pint over his shoes, and he just looked at me like,
shoes. Poor
hello.
fella just won the playoffs, and you soaked his shoes.
Yeah,
And he didn't. He brought it up every chance he got as well.
He did bring it up every single chance he got. Every time he see me, he was like, "You owe me shoes," which I never do. It was a really wholesome conversation we were having about baked goods and about his favorite baked goods. We were talking about blondies and chocolate brownies and a bunch of other things. And his whole thing was he liked baked goods, like tray bakes and stuff prior to a game, and he used to get them delivered by one of his good friends, who's also a friend of ours, Joe, who basically made them and delivered them to him and stuff, and he used to have those as a pre-game ritual. And so we're talking about, it was a really wholesome conversation about baked goods, and then I just go and throw my pint all over him. So yeah,
of course I bring this up just to wind you up, but I just want to yes, there's some disappointing news coming from the Saltbox, but it's a good time as well. Like when getting that time with the players when they win, and there's no messing around with that. There are good memories to be made.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Still doesn't top the bunkers, the drunken mess of every fan in the place taking the piss out of every other fan in the place. It's still phenomenal.
Generally, playoff final weekend is a great weekend. It's usually a good banter between fans. There's never really much ill feeling, and yeah, you do miss it when you're not there, and you do get a bit jealous. I won't lie. Whenever you're sitting on social media on the Friday and you're seeing people taking their flights or arriving, and you're seeing people going like, "We're just arrived," or it does kind of, part of you just breaks inside because you're like, "Oh, I want to be there," because you just think about how much fun it's been previous year.
It was seeing the Cardiff fans, the Glasgow fans, in their jerseys on the Friday. Cringe. You don't wear your jerseys on Friday?
No, I don't think I've ever worn a jersey on a Friday. Even when we travel, I don't think I've ever worn my jersey when I've been traveling. I've always I'll wear team merch. I'll wear
merch, yeah.
Completely fine, but yeah, I've never worn a jersey.
These are so judgy.
Yep.
Not judgy. Well,
that's what happens of how many years? Like
personal choice.
Yes,
so judgy. You wear your jerseys and you be proud.
And also a playoff final weekend. Just to quickly go through it, the annual awards, Elite League awards, were handed out for the.
Oh. Of all the people to freeze, this is gonna be really awkward.
I know. I'm gonna have to open up the actual story now.
Well, in his absence, I suppose we should talk about the annual awards for the 2025-26 season.
By the coaches.
Oh!
Well, this is fun.
Yeah, we can't even move on because he's going to start breaking back in.
Maybe he's just playing with us.
He's actually, he's just standing still. No, there's two of them.
Have you got the article up, or will I? Oh no,
I'm back.
He's back.
Okay, I'll edit that part. Silky smooth editing in the audio.
We were like, because you kept cutting in and out. So we were like, should we talk about the articles?
I went to start it, and then you cut back in again. And I was like, oh, what's going on?
Let's cut it there in the audio podcast. So anybody who's watching, apologies, you just kind of have to go through this technical issues. We'll cut it there, and then we'll talk about the awards. So as I was saying, the 2025-2026 Elite League season awards were, which are voted on by the coaches and the GMs from across the league, were handed out this past weekend at playoffs as well. So this year's winners, we should just quickly have a run through. So the Elite League Player of the Year, Mitchell Balmas. Goalie of the Year, Judah Ryder. Defenseman of the Year, Mike Lee. Forward of the Year, Mitchell Balmas again. Coach of the Year, Adam Keefe. British Player of the Year, Robert Dowd. Young British Player of the Year, Jack Hopkins. And Jonathan John O'Phillips Leadership Award goes to David Goodwin. Coaches and GMs were also asked to vote for the All-Star teams, and they selected the following players. So for the first All-Star team, in goals we have Drew DeRuyter, then we have Mike Lee in defence, as well as Brandon Estes. In forward we have Mitchell Balmus, JJ Pickenick, and Tim Doherty. And on our second All-Star team we have Matt Robson. In goals we have Jimmy Olney in defence, Nick Welch in defence. And then we have Matthew Gosselin, Jordan Kawaguchi, and Josh McDonald in forward. I know there's not really much heed put to the awards, that are handed out, and they used to make a big thing about the awards ceremony each year. There used to be like a separate awards
dinner event,
ceremony,
wasn't
a
it?
dinner event, and used to go along to it all dressed, suited, and booted and stuff. And it's kind of maybe became a bit less like that. But anything there jump out at you? Any thoughts? Any players there particularly you thought that was a surprise, or anyone? I know the year before, like some of the choices were a bit, really? That's who you went for? But is there anything this year that jumps out at you? You're kind of wondering, yeah, I don't know if I would pick that as my choice, or is anything there you're like 100% agree with that you think, yeah, that's spot on? Do you have any there at all?
I think they're legit. I think they're really good picks. I don't think you could go wrong with any of those. And then again, the All-Star teams are really good looking too. Now the only thing that's a bit strange is that their Brit of the Year didn't manage to make any of the All-Star team, which is strange enough. But again, from a Giants point of view, Mike Lee, JJ Pickenick, and Jordan Kawaguchi making the All-Star makes sense. They've been phenomenal all year. Adam Keefe for the coach. They're all solid. I don't think there's anybody I would be going, no, I don't think they should be there. I think everyone's.
That was going to be my question. So I love the fact that they do the All-Star teams, right? But they don't assign a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be cool to kind of see, like, here's the All-Star team and here's who we would assign as the coach. And I appreciate coaches and GMs were asked to vote for the All-Star team, so it would be weird to be voting for themselves. But still, it would be maybe it's the alternative or something, like get the fans to vote for the coach, but then they're always going to just vote for their own coach, to be fair as well.
Exactly.
It'd be a different one.
Exactly. Was it a surprise this year for goaltender of the year? I don't really know what, I suppose, yeah, I kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know.
This year had an awful lot of nearly every team had some sort of goalie trouble.
Yeah.
In the middle of the season, resulting in some of the stats looking a bit odd.
Yeah. But so I suppose if you look at it from a point of view of who had played the most games with the most consistency over the most games, I guess, yeah, of course, then Drew would come out on top, obviously playing 34 games and having the best percentage overall, which I suppose when you look at like where Manchester's finished, you kind of think, well, that's actually surprising in some ways. But yeah, as you say, Dave, you've got some players there who were looking on form. Jackson Whistle, I'm not just putting it because I'm a Belfast Giants fan, but if you look at like Jackson Whistle, I think he ended third overall. We'll say it's second overall because if you look at the statistics on the Elite League website, first overall is someone who played one game, so they have a higher points percentage because they've played one game. But if you look at it from a point of view of games played with points percentage, with saves percentage, Jackson Whistle comes in second, having played 28 games. I suppose, yeah, he obviously had his difficulties this year with injury and whatever, and obviously the Giants bringing in backup netminding.
All the netminders.
All the netminders. But yeah, no, I think overall, I agree with you, Dave. I think it's a good call in terms of British Player of the Year award. Robert Dowd is kind of he's kind of moving.
Can't go wrong with Robert Dowd.
You can't, and he's a stalwart player. He's been around for.
He's never been the player he was when he was in Teal, but he's doing okay there in Sheffield.
All right. Okay, I think that is it for playoffs. I don't think we have anything else. I think it's time to move on and switch out or finish off I suppose, this Elite League season. It's been a good one, I think. I think the 2025-2026 season has been a interesting season. It's been a tight run season. It's been a surprising season. It's given us a good mix of drama and a good mix of, uncertainty about things in terms of like who's going to take points on any given night. And we see we talked about this last week. Challenge Cup, obviously. Seeing Coventry get the Challenge Cup final, and then we got the playoff final weekend. Completely was a bit of a mix. Obviously, the final was, same old. But I mean, overall, I think it's been a great season. Dave, yourself?
Yeah, the Elite League this year has been probably more interesting than it has been in a while. We're seeing more mid-table action, which really influences the overall winners. The Giants had a really fantastic second half of the season, which led to them having a slightly bigger gap. But the rest of the league, I think I mentioned it last week, is that there was something like 20 points between the most of the rest of them, and that's any other year there was like big jump from third or fourth down to the next section of the league, where this year it was a bit more in the mix. Especially getting 3 teams winning the different trophies. Again, that's huge for the Elite League. A bit of silverware being spread out after obviously going back to the back-to-back wins of Giants doing the Grand Slam, and then the Steelers doing it straight after them. It's good now seeing a bit more of a spread. And we've seen the start of that last season as well. So the more that continues, like, I'm never going to say it, if the Giants don't win the league, I would love to see somebody new. But I'm still going to take the Giants winning it every season if I can.
That's obviously why we were so keen for an all-purple finish for the playoffs. This season it felt really different, but it ended fairly similar. Apart from the Giants not making playoffs, to be fair, like that's fairly big, right?
They fancy a bit of golfing to do.
Bit of golfing to do. Yeah. The weather actually started to get decent here.
They were playing golf with the Maple Leafs, so
yeah. So while throughout the season and at the start, it was all over the show, and we had a lot of big moves. It did feel that it ended up fairly similar, but without the Giants there. Great. Go ahead, sorry.
And a huge part of that is probably the next story we're going to talk about as well, is that I had such high hopes this season for the Scottish teams, like really high hopes.
Yeah.
The Flyers coming in with the new ownership, new coaching staff, new outlook on life. Now the massive improvements there from the previous seasons. The Stars with the second year with Lefebvre. I had again loads of hopes that there was going to be major changes there, and then Glasgow's okay. Yes, they got to the playoff final this year, which is awesome. But they could be the big thing in the north, because they've they've loyal fans filling that arena week in, week out, really good ownership. And
it is straight. And it's not, again, I've just called out how good they got by getting to third and stuff like that, but they've got a good arena, they've got a good fan base. As you say, the ownership, like what's missing?
Yeah, that's it. We've all said this for a while now, like it's
but they've got the ownership, they've got the. Do you still think, like, for everyone else that's listening to us, Marty's just made the money sign to the camera.
They need that big O2 cash, do they?
Yeah, they need that big O2 cash. I genuinely think it does come down in some ways to money. In some ways, I think that'll always be an issue when you've got and they're not a smaller arena team, but they are a smaller rink team. They are. I mean, they're about the same rough capacity as the Cardiff Devils. And the Cardiff Devils, I suppose, don't maybe have the same struggle maybe yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just think, like, I had high hopes for the Cardiff. I think I even like highlighted the goaltending potential for the Glasgow Clan this year, and then it didn't really go the way that I think they maybe hoped for the caliber that they brought in. NHL caliber goaltending there. I think, I mean, Glasgow just, They do. They struggle at times, but as you say, they've got the fan base. They've got a good setup there. They now have an ownership team who are kind of putting the backing into it and kind of developing what they said and they promised they would develop. My only thing would be, and I know they said that it's going to be a separate, and let's just talk about Dundee now because we're going to talk about that. It's our next story, but we know that the Glasgow Clan ownership have bought over and have taken over ownership of the Dundee Stars for the 2026-2027 season. So they now own the Dundee Stars. Now they've said that the ownership said that it will be a standalone separate entity that will have a different leadership team behind it. It will be owned by the same team, same company, same owners. It's going to have a different leadership team, which means it will be a separate entity. It will sit separately, and there'll be no questions whether or not they're going to stand down or take a knee for the more dominant team over the course of the year. But it'll be interesting to see for the Dundee Stars, given or what I'm trying to say is it'll be interesting to see if the Glasgow Clan, if the focus will shift a bit in the next year to kind of get Dundee Stars up and running, and how will that affect the Glasgow Clan in terms of money, in terms of just the focus, in terms of the media stuff that's going on, because obviously they're going to maybe shift their media drive from the Glasgow maybe to the Dundee Stars initially in this next season to kind of maybe build up some of the stuff around the.
I guess at that stage it's more about whoever's in charge building up the business model. The talk boring, to be fair, but to get the sponsorships in, to get the money on the seats and all that kind of stuff, and whoever's got the best plan presents it to the owners. That might just be it.
And the reason why we're talking about the Dundee Stars, and this is a story that we missed in the last episode, because I think we had a lot to try and cram in last week's episode, and we completely forgot to talk about this. It was a significantly big story, and that is the story at the start of April this month, that Mark Lefebvre is leaving the Dundee Stars, having after 5 successful seasons split across 11 years in charge of the Dundee Stars. He's heading off to pastures new. I think he's heading to France next season. And actually they've put out as of this week, I think it was Monday, I think John sent this in. Was it John? I think it was John that sent this in our group chat. It was Dave. Sorry, Dave. Apologies. They are.
It's because it was a plan.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was you.
I thought Marty not buying.
I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, I already got the job. I'm actually transferring the family over to Scotland next season. Head coach of the Dundee Stars. They're currently advertising for it. So if you want to put your name into the hat, they put the job description out. The closing date is the 24th of April 2026 at midnight. So if you haven't done so already and you're interested, fire your CV over there to the Dundee Stars. You never know. As I said to the boys, I took, not to brag, but I took the Belfast Giants right through to the CHL final and won the CHL final this week. So I mean, I've got caliber there.
Do you think button smashing is still a strategy that we could go for when it comes to real games?
I mean, yeah, just fire it out there and see what happens.
Go! Screaming and shouting. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Pass the puck. It's like,
Anthony Banners has just put there. So we're assuming John isn't there because he's prepping his CV for the Dundee job.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think he's using the Dundee job to try and get the Flyers job. You see, so.
I mean, it is an interesting job. It's an interesting thing to see that obviously they're putting it out there. They're trying to get direction in terms of how things are going to move. And as we say, Glasgow ownership, this ownership team from Premier Sport.
They did the same as well, didn't they? Glasgow, they put it out as well. We talked about it last time.
Yeah, pretty much. And obviously then they've got the job description up there. It's interesting though that they've done different variations of sized fonts, and it's just the thing in me. But yeah, different sized fonts. But I was wondering, are these ones that are more important? So like they're looking at primary recruitment, obviously player development, creating a culture. What they've described it as building a hungry locker room. We expect a high-energy professional environment where accountability is standard and growth is non-negotiable. You will lead a culture where players are pushed to their limits but feel supported in their pursuit of the next level. And then obviously it's all about the community and the brand of the Dundee Stars to make sure it's created a community-driven club, and that it's charismatic, family base for sponsor, and the sponsorship media has to tie in with all of that. So yeah, it's an interesting one. So if you feel that you meet that criteria, you can send your coaching resume to the Dundee Stars, or I think LinkedIn as well is a possibility too. So if you're wanting a new role next year, there you go. Any boys thinking about going for it?
Maybe. Why not?
What I'm trying to get my head around here is that it sounds like, Marty, you're not going for it because they use different fonts in their in their webpage.
Well, that would be the first thing I would fix, probably, if I took up the role, and I think that's probably not a priority for them. So I don't know. I think if my priorities are, could we fix the font a bit on your website? I think that would probably be like, really? Is that what your priority sits? What about player recruitment? Yeah, okay. Well, we can recruit players, but can we sort the font out first? Because I can't focus on the other bits if you don't sort the font. So yeah, that's.
I'm really sad here. I'm actually looking at the code of the webpage to figure out why it's like that. I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. You think yeah. Okay. The only other thing, before we move on from period one, and switch our attention across the water to the Stanley Cup, just two other bits coming out of this past weekend, both coming out of Nottingham, and this is the first and kind of official, shall we say, announcements in the off season for player retirement, and also a player transfer out of the Elite League. So the first one was Finlay Ulrich, moving from the Nottingham Panthers and taking a step down from the Elite League to the EIHL to the Hull Seahawks next season. And the biggest news coming out of the playoff final weekend, and it broke, I believe, today, as of the 23rd of April 2026, is that Mitchell Fossier from the Nottingham Panthers has announced his retirement today, and so will not be returning to the ice next season. That is it. We will keep an eye on trades, and we'll keep an eye on signings and all that stuff, good stuff, during the off season. And during our off season specials, we'll kind of just do a quick run through of some of the key signings and some of the key moves that we've seen over the past over the months between now and our next episodes. Anything else before we move on?
Sounds good.
Great. Okay. Well, then let's get stuck into period 2 of hockey.
So welcome to period 2 of hockey. In this particular period 2, we are going to talk about the NHL playoffs entirely, focusing on the current brackets and our predictions. So I'll give a quick rundown of how the playoffs currently sit, and then we'll do a quick round table on what we think is going to happen. So the Colorado Avalanche versus the LA Kings. It's currently Colorado by 2. Dallas Stars, Minnesota. Dallas is winning 2-1. The Kings, Utah is 1-1. Edmonton, Anaheim's 1-1. Buffalo, Boston's 1-1. Tampa Bay, Montreal is 1-1. The Carolina Hurricanes is 2 over the Ottawa Senators. The Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia is Philadelphia 3, Pittsburgh 0. So a lot going on, a lot to see. It's going to be a very interesting bracket for everybody. One thing, we were chatting this morning so I get up 6ish for work and get ready, and I was able to watch the final period of the Wild Dallas game. It was bonkers. It was it just shows you like that series is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I don't know how whoever wins it. I don't know how they're going to have to go on and play another team after that. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to kick it off and give my sort of feelings of how I think it's going to pan out, and then we'll go around and we'll chat about each of them. And I believe we have John's as well. He sent it forward. Yep. So I'll do mine first. So obviously I'm going to do the same thing we do. I'm going to take the Wild out of the equation because obviously it's going to be a Wild final. It's the way it is,
Wild. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to say it live on air. I'm not going to say it live on air. Everyone knows what I'm going to say, but As soon as I say it, Scuds it.
Yeah. So yeah, don't say it. So I'm gonna say it's gonna come down to the Avs versus Buffalo. I think it's going to be the Avalanche is going to win it, but I think it's going to go the distance. It's going to be a seven game series. But I think the way the Cinderella story of Buffalo needs to be, it has to go the whole way to the final. I don't think they have it to win it, but they have to go all the way to the final. Everyone else, there is plenty of other people there that could do it. I've taken obviously the Wild out of the equation, so I've just taken that bracket out. Technically, Dallas still has a lot of firepower there that they could do some crazy stuff. Edmonton are born to be in the final, but I just don't think they will get past the Avs in that Western Conference final. Same goes for the East. I think there's a couple of big teams there that could go the distance. I think Buffalo will do it. Montreal, Carolina, and either. I can't see Pittsburgh pulling it back at this stage, but Philly could, based on how they've been playing. Very old school 70s playoff hockey in Pittsburgh right now, or in Philadelphia right now. So yeah, but I still think it'll be Avs, Buffalo, with the Avalanche taking the win. Marty, over to you.
Yeah, I've written mine down, so I'm going to read off some of the bits that I wrote down earlier on. So my predictions are for the first group there. I've got I'm thinking. Sorry, Dave. We're going down to how far we're going to just who's taking the first round? Are we talking about first?
Start with I could do whatever way I did. I did all the way to the final. So
okay, perfect. So who have I got? Let's go with first round for Boston versus Buffalo. I kind of have my Buffalo, Boston. Buffalo. I have Boston settling down, and they'll get past the Buffalo Sabres. I think they're going to take that one. In terms of the Lightning versus the Montreal Canadiens, it's hard to look past the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially at this time of year. Tampa Bay have history in relation to the playoffs. They have had a great season so far this year, and I just think, although Montreal has been electric so far, I think Tampa just knows how to kind of survive this time of year and get through to the next round. So I think they'll get round to round two. In terms of the other two games, Carolina Hurricanes and Ottawa Senators, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Carolina Hurricanes, I see coming out on top. I think they're performing pretty well so far in this playoff bracket, and I think they'll take that one. And this was the hard one. I know. And I'm trying to look at Aaron right now when I'm saying this. I think by dominant Philadelphia, the Flyers are doing something which I'm kind of surprised by, and I don't think I've seen them having three straight up, winning three straight games at this point. I thought that Pittsburgh would have a bit more fight, but I think there's still some fight in Pittsburgh. I think it's going to come down to the finals. I think it's going to come down to game 7 in this one. I think someone in Pittsburgh isn't done quite yet. I think he still has a bit of momentum in him, and I think he'll want something to prove. Crosby being, I think we have something there.
The Pittsburgh diving champion.
I was about to say. I was thank you, Dave.
I just think purely because he isn't done. I think. Sorry, Aaron. I think Pittsburgh might take it. In the West side, I'll come back and do the final parts in a second. I'll come back and let's do round 2. Round 2, Boston versus Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm going to push through Boston in round 2. I think Boston will take it over Tampa Bay. I think Boston have had a tough season this year. I think people were kind of writing them off, especially because they started so poorly. And I think Boston have improved, and I think they'll try and push through to get to that Eastern Conference final. And in the final point there, I think it'll be a Carolina Hurricanes versus Boston Bruins Eastern final. And I think possibly Carolina Hurricanes pushing through to the final of the Stanley Cup. My thoughts for the Eastern side of things. In terms of the opposite side of the country, Colorado and the LA. I think my take is. I don't know. I think Carolina or Avalanche will take care of Los Angeles Kings quite easily. And I think that'll be a dominant round. They'll move on. my heart wants Minnesota to kind of do a bit like I would like Philadelphia Flyers to, but I just don't think they can. And I think it's the same again. I think the Dallas Stars will win it over the Minnesota Wild. Sorry, Dave. But I think again, similar to Philadelphia and the Pittsburgh, I think it'll be a game
Screw this
7.
guy, Dave.
And this isn't me being bitter because Toronto weren't there. I genuinely just believe I think Dallas will move forward, and I think that'll be a Dallas versus Colorado round 2, and then on the other side, then Vegas Golden Knights Utah. This is the hardest one, I think. I don't want to see the Utah Mammoth story end yet because I think they've had a really great second season under this new guys and this new. This new brand and how everything is turned out for them this season. And I think it's been pretty interesting to watch them this season. But I think, again, the Golden Knights, I think, take it and will probably maybe put Utah out. And then the last one, Edmonton versus the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm not saying it because I'm currently wearing a Ducks top. And that's not the reason I'm wearing one. But I think that'll be a surprise. I think if there's going to be any surprise movement in this one, I think it's going to be Anaheim taking out Edmonton and moving on. And I think Anaheim taking out Edmonton and unfortunately then McDavid missing out another year and throwing his dummy out of the pram. So the finals will be down to those teams, and I think the Western Conference will be taken potentially by the Colorado Avalanche. So the final will be Colorado versus the Hurricanes for the final. And who will take it at that point? Carolina.
Ooh, we were quite close. There's obviously quite a lot. There's some differences there, but when it comes to the final, I'll get to that in a second. Get how you get there in a second. But I have the Avs and the Hurricanes as well. But I have the Avs taking it. So I know you want to do John's first, or do you want me to go through mine?
You go through yours.
Go through yours, sir.
So I'm not going to go in as much detail because we've got go John through as well here. So for the Eastern Conference, for the first round winners, I've got Hurricane, Lightning, and the Sabres, and of course that team that I'll not mention because it's going to put a scud on it. Good momentum going on there. I think we've got the edge as well. But I'm not going to say any of those words because that'll put the scud on it. I think that'll happen hopefully in the next game. Then when it comes to the conference final predictions, this is where it kind of falls apart for me. We're talking about Hurricanes versus the Lightning. Sorry. And then the winner being the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
But kind of, I think you were saying this, Dave. The Sabres could be the dark horse here. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of sneak past. So
anyway. It's their movie year. This is the after 14 years in the dark, all that jazz.
Yep. 14.
I don't know how long it is. It could be 6 seasons for all I know, but it feels like they haven't been in the playoff final for literally a lifetime.
Yeah. Western Conference, we've got, of course, the Avs. Sorry, Dave, I've got the Stars. No, I'm going to change that. Wild is going to get. I can't say it. The Stars are going to get.
The Stars are going to. Yeah, the Stars are doing it.
But the Dallas Stars are going to win. Then I've got the Golden Knights and then the Oilers for McDavid. But that's only if the goaltending really holds up here. Conference final: Avalanche versus the Stars. Dave. Wink, wink. And then, of course, it would be Avs getting through. So it's going to be a Hurricane Avalanche finish. But then I think the Avs will take it. Do you know what? Actually, the Avs was the very first piece of NHL merch I ever got.
Ah, okay. That's right. You were given.
Sure.
Yes, that's right.
I went 16, went to Denver.
Exchange things.
Yeah. So when we were trying to pick our teams, the Avs were nearly the team because I had an Avs t-shirt somewhere nice.
You do realize though, just back into the scudding part of things. I mean, you own obviously your own team's jersey, which obviously puts a Scud straight on them because obviously you support them, so therefore it's a Scud straight away. You know, that's how it works. But you also bought the jersey of Dave's team here.
I'm hoping
which I'm not mentioning, and therefore potentially put a Scud on them already because you bought the jersey.
No, what I think actually it was a good luck charm because I bought the jersey and it was remember I bought the jersey and it turned out to be the wrong size or something like that, right?
I still bought it.
I bought it and it was a Scud in itself getting it, so that was the Scud part, and then it'll average out.
Okay, I like your take on that. I like your thoughts.
It's really going to be a final that we can't talk about. You know, that shall not be named. You know.
Yes.
Marty, do you want to do John's?
Yeah, I'll take John's. So John's is as follows. His is a bit shorter, and I have to read. I've been told I need to read the last part. His predictions are in the eastern side of things: Buffalo versus Boston. Boston will take it in 6. Montreal will take it in 7. Ottawa will take it in game 7, and Pittsburgh will take it in game 5. He's been very specific about the games. He believes the Eastern Conference champions will be Montreal, the Canadiens. Interesting. Is it because he's been to Montreal? Has he been? He's been to Montreal.
Has he been to Canada?
I think he's been to Canada. I think so.
I love the fact that he has Pittsburgh winning in 5 and they can't do it in 5.
That's true. That's true. Clearly wasn't looking at the
Yeah.
Good point.
Or doesn't know the difference between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
One of the two.
Maybe he meant Philly. We'll say he meant Philly and not Pittsburgh. We'll say Philly. We'll say he says Philly.
On the other side, shouting at the radio right now as he's painting part and paint on the wall.
The 16th bedroom. Yeah.
In the western side, he has Colorado will sweep it in 4. Minnesota will win it in 6. So he's saying, again, I don't know how that's possible because I think Dallas are leading.
No, it's only 2. Yeah, but 2-1, so they can still win it in 6.
Yes, okay, game 6. Vegas Golden Knight, or he's got Utah in 7 and Edmonton in 6, and he believes that the Western Conference champions will be Edmonton. So he's going to have an Edmonton versus Montreal All-Canada final, which would be a very interesting final. He says Cup final, Montreal will win it in game 7, and a 3rd straight Cup final loss for McJesus, leading to an immediate trade where he loses his shit and buys himself out of his own contract. So there you go. He's given his predictions of what's going to happen there. So yes. We always said sorry, Dave. I was just going to say there. We always kind of say we'll do it, but we promise we'll do it, and we'll have a look at the Stanley Cup finals, how they're going when it comes to our specials in the off season, and we won't neglect it.
Has anyone seen any of those videos online of the very detailed predictions for the games, and it's the dog bouncing the ball down the stairs into the basket? Yes. Has anyone seen, because they're completely scientific and completely valid? Has anyone seen any of those yet? Do we know what the dog is saying?
The only one I seen was the wild game, and I didn't like it, so the dog knows nothing.
dog
I mean, there was the octopus selecting team. There's an octopus selecting teams as well, I think, at one point.
Yes.
Yeah, is there that kind of idea? I haven't seen any, to be fair. I haven't seen any any animals selecting teams or anything this year. I have seen just some fantastic gritty content over the last few days.
There's Banners as mentioned on there.
There you go. Yeah, he's looking forward to some more unhinged, gritty content over the playoffs. That's why he wants the Flyers to move through. So yeah, I think I would agree with that. Definitely for just for comedy, sheer comedy.
Did you see the one of Gritty just watching the match, and it they zoom in on him, and it's just staring blankly at the game. It's just so creepy.
Just because it's he's not actually doing anything, he's just looking.
Blank eyes, just staring at Crosby,
There's a video that we should do on YouTube. Top 10 gritty moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to put it together if you want to. I'll make you a script. You can read it, and I'll totally throw a video together. 100%. I was thinking about doing a thing around mascots over the summer as well. A video when I've got time. I was thinking about doing some mascot stuff as well, just because people seem to love them. I mean, I love a good mascot too, so it's going to be doing that. But yes.
But yeah, so that is, let me see, yeah, that is our last piece for period 2, and obviously dominated by the playoff finals. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. As we said, Marty, we'll do our best to keep on top of it this year and check in probably every round, maybe, the time we get around to the next special. So we will do our best to keep on top of it and keep following along, see who got it right.
Yeah.
But I think that is period 2 done. We'll move on to period 3.
Are we? That's me, right? It was just because the playoff, the Stanley Cup was still on the screen, and I was getting confused.
I'll do it all night long.
Anyway, welcome to period 3, our general Nucky
news.
Although similar to period 2, we've only got one story. Do we even have jerseys to talk about in this one?
No, and to be honest, I threw this story in because I felt like I didn't want to end a final podcast of the year with no period 3, because I felt that would be a disservice to period 3 to knocking news by not having something in there. So this could have probably fitted in somewhere else in the episode, but I thought, we'll hold on to it for period 3 just so there's something there to round off.
We're going to have to do like a really quick, some sort of jersey hunt. Like, quick, run into your cupboards and find your favorite jersey and let's rate them.
We could do a quick rundown of how much the jerseys are costing at the moment in the auction in the Elite League. We could do that. I haven't had a look, so we'll quickly bring that up quickly. Yes, you only got the one story.
So this is Marty. For some strange reason, again, it's one of your stories. I believe it's your stories. It's not John's, right?
No, it's mine.
So head coach is confirmed for the inaugural 3 Ice World Cup in Belfast.
Yeah, so obviously we mentioned this earlier in the season, and it was announced that the Belfast would be hosting the 3 Ice tournament this coming July time. Hang on, let me get the dates. I don't want to be incorrect with my dates. 5th of July, Saturday the 4th, and Sunday the 5th of July. We'll see some ice hockey in the off season. In the winter. I know, Anthony, there's other leagues going on around the world in like Australia and whatever else, but I'm looking at UK here, and I know there's playoff final weekends in other parts of the country, and I'll put that post up there. But we'll be finishing off our podcast here, so we won't be coming back for those. Sorry, Anthony, you can cover those. So 3 Ice is a professional ice hockey league built around the skill of 3-on-3 format. For anybody who isn't aware of it, there has been previous 3-on-3 tournaments done in the past. And the idea of it is it's 2 8-minute periods of continuous play. The format emphasizes speed, creativity, and attacking hockey. And the whole idea is that they will be having a World Cup to mark the league's most ambitious expansion date. So in 2 days, we'll cover 8 teams internationally. As we mentioned before, we'll have 3 Ice teams being represented. We'll see Great Britain, we'll see the USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland, Switzerland, Germany, and Austria will go head-to-head for the World Cup of 3 Ice. This week they have announced the leadership for the teams. So the international rosters include 3-time Stanley Cup champion Ken Danico for the USA, 4-time Stanley Cup winner Larry Murphy for Canada. We have a Stanley Cup winner John O'Dea for Sweden, Finland's Olympic medalist Romeo Hillman. Adam Keith will be head coach of the UK ice hockey team. And we'll also see Chris McSorley, who is a name also familiar here in the UK and Elite League. He'll be taking on the leadership of Switzerland. Germany will be taken on by Ron Pascoe, and Austria will be headed by Ryan Kinaswich. I did look to see how it was pronounced, so it's Kinaswich. So that's kind of what it will be. So if anybody isn't aware, this tournament, as I say, will be taking place at the start of July. So if you're looking for some live ice hockey in the summer months in the UK, either if you're in Belfast and you live in Northern Ireland, get down to the arena. It's not too far. And if you're from across the water, maybe it's a weekend to come across and get some free ice. In
July in Belfast, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
It's a lovely place.
Yes. One thing I found really interesting, obviously, Chris McSorley, the name will be really familiar, obviously, because he played in the Super League, I think it was, early Elite League days. But obviously, of his more famous sibling, Marty McSorley, who played for the LA Kings with Wayne Gretzky. He's in that. He's does a really good piece in that Ice Guardians. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's really worth a watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great shot. That's a great show. And I suppose that's what my off season will be catching up and watching some of those movies and documentaries over and over again. So we do that. I usually do the off season to see. Something else to do for your time with. But I'm also
we should do like a random watch along. Tell people hit play now.
we tried that during lockdown. If you remember, we tried to do something a bit different, watching some hockey themed movies, but it didn't really take off and go anywhere. But maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll have a look at it again. As I said, I was going to say let's go and have a look at the jersey auctions, but to be honest with you, clicking through and having to look at
going to individually. So I can tell you, I've got the Giants, Cardiff, and Guildford here.
Okay.
Not please Coventry.
And who do you have? Take us through so far who you've got as the leading shirt. If you have that information.
Giants, Kupski, 500.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's not bad. Still a couple of days ago, though, wasn't it?
30th.
Yeah. Close behind Hamill and Kawaguchi, both 300s. Everything else is around the 200 mark. Cardiff, there's obviously a lot more in the 400s or 500s. Top. Crap, I wrote that. I can't even read my own handwriting. Oski.
Yep.
566. Martin at 510. McDonald at 370. For the Coventry Blaze, all of them are around the £90 mark. The only one that is significantly more than anyone else is Par. Par's coming in at 215.
Oh,
there you go.
That's all I've got. So I'm really interested to see.
I've got the Dundee Stars. I was having a quick look through the Dundee Stars while you were talking. Now, the Dundee Stars is similar to what the Coventry one is. They're all in around that £90 mark, and I think the highest one I've seen so far is £150, and that was for. Let me have a quick look. I find it. 160 for Yamamoto. His Dundee Stars, his home jersey. Seems to be leading the charge at £160. So if you want a cheap Dundee jersey just to add to your collection, you get a £90 one there. But to say you've got 6 days left roughly to get your name on some of these get your hold of some of these jerseys. And I'm sure by the time it comes to the end of the week, I'm sure the prices for half of these jerseys will jump up because I know people wait until the very, very end.
Newman for Glasgow, $750.
Oof.
$750? Wow.
Yeah.
Is there any point looking at the Fife Flyers? Is it ironic? The highest one I've seen so far, the Fife Flyers, is actually for Jordy Munro's jersey. He's the one that's leading the charge. £210 for the Jordy Munro jersey, and that's the highest one so far. Everything else is in around that 90. Oh no, there's 250 for Nielsen. There you go.
200 to 300 seems to kind of be the general average for them, right?
Yeah, I suppose let's go and have a look at the Steelers ones. I'll go and jump in there because obviously they were they're in the finals to see what they're like. If you've seen any other ones there, Aaron, chuck them out.
Will do. I say nothing I'm in Nottingham here. 155.10. Fossier.
Yeah, obviously retirement. So people obviously knew he was retiring, weren't trying to get his hands on that jersey now. Obviously trying to get that up. So
I think that
I'd say
was the highest
that will
one.
end up a bit higher, I would say, before the end of the auction. The highest one for the Sheffield Steelers so far that I have seen is again it's a home jersey, and it is the jersey belonging to Hurd. I think it's 500 so far. His jersey is sitting £500. Everything else is crying up 200 those marks. So yeah, Sheffield's ones will obviously go up as the auction goes.
Check Guildford's there as well. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do. I'm sure we'll do a roundup of the costs and how much they all went for it when it comes to the next season, because it's always interesting to see where these jump up to and how much people end up spending. And you know what? It's your money at the end of the day. If you want to spend money on these jerseys, I mean, of course you are. Go for it. Enjoy. Yeah,
we've all done it in the past. It's not a patch on my new Mitchell King jersey that I picked up for £60. So
there you go. Boys, I suppose that was good that we finished off this episode, and this period with a bit of jersey talk, because I think it would be weird not to, given the fact that it's kind of the jersey talk period. So yes, we added something in, so John can be happy. Happy that we finished this podcast this season with at least some kind of jersey talk in Knocky news. I'm going to round off the podcast and finish it here. Just want to say thank you to everyone who has listened to the podcast this past season. Anybody who has watched us either live and thrown in the comments and kind of supported us throughout the season, we appreciate that. I also want to shout out the people who have subscribed and followed us on all the different social media channels and on our YouTube channel and watched the videos and commented and everything else. Thank you very much for that. We will be back in the 2026-2027 season, where hopefully we'll have some fresh content coming your way over the off season. Still, John will be still continuing to do some of his off season or his social media content and TikTok, so we'll still do some videos around any key big pieces of news that come out and break over the season. And obviously then when it comes to August time, we'll be looking directly at the new jerseys, and obviously the as Aaron has thankfully put on his screen there, the O2 arena in Belfast. Whenever more breaks about that, and when we learn more about that, I'm sure we'll be talking more and more.
And their MRI machine.
MRI machines. I know. I seen that. Oh my word! We didn't even talk about that. Yes. Anyway,
we need to keep something for the start of next season.
Exactly. Just want to say again, thank you to everyone for everything this season, for joining us, and we hope we've entertained you at least, and we've enjoyed having us part of your routine every fortnight, listening to the podcast. All that's left for us to do is to kind of point you in the direction of everything for the off season. First and foremost, you can follow us on all the social media channels. We are on TikTok, Instagram, we're on X, everywhere else, Facebook at Door14, and you can follow the socials up here in the top in the corner on the QR code. Will take you to our Linktree link, and you can select whatever social media you prefer, and you can follow us on there. So please follow, subscribe, and do all those good things. If you don't do so already, you can also catch our podcast recording, or all of the live podcasts will go up on our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, you can go and watch them if you would like to, or you can check some out of some of the other short form content that we've created this season, and hopefully there'll be some more added on come the off season once I get a bit of time to myself, and I'll get through a few more stuff up there. And that's our YouTube channel. It's up in the corner, and if you are on our YouTube channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for all notifications for our future videos. And also maybe I'll throw in some streaming as well over the off season as well on our YouTube, maybe TikTok or Twitch. Haven't decided yet. And last but not least, we are a audio podcast first and foremost, and we will continue to be so. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to follow us, like, subscribe, and leave us comments or reviews on your podcast provider of choice. And you can get the podcast website up here in the corner, door14hockey.com, for all this episode and all of the previous episodes as well. I don't think I have forgotten anything, lads. If I have, please jump in now. Otherwise, it's just simply for us to say thank you so much for listening. I'm Marty.
And Dave.
I'm Aaron.
Have a great week.